The podcast that floats down here.
Hi, I'm Melissa, your Stephen King veteran.
Hi, I'm Ben, the Stephen King and horror film fanboy.
And hello, I'm Luke, your first-time Stephen King reader. This episode is part 3, Grown-Ups, chapter number 12, 3 Uninvited Guests, sections 6, 7, 8, and 9. This section was 5.5 pages, and that is 0.5% of the book.
Audra couldn't shake the terrible feeling she had about Bill. Desperate to help him, she argued with the director of her film, and the director threatened her career if she left the shoot. She understood, but chose to leave anyway, and found a flight leaving Heathrow that just happened to be making a stop in Bangor, Maine. Unlike Tom, who would arrive an hour later, Audra was able to rent a car, and she drove toward Derry. In an odd coincidence, Tom and Audra rented rooms at neighboring hotels, and even parked their cars nose to nose. Henry, meanwhile, spent the day hiding along Route 9, and began hitchhiking after dark.
Alright, so we now have a bunch of people going to the same place. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Audra here?
Okay, so truth. I'm not very good at remembering way long time ago things, but I vividly remember the first time I read this section. I was not surprised by Henry showing back up. That was a given, right? We talked way too much about Henry Bowers to not have grown-up Henry Bowers show up in some way, shape, or form. I wasn't really even surprised by Tom chasing Beverly because he's just that guy and he doesn't give up and whatever, doesn't surprise me. But I was totally shocked and disappointed that Audra was dumb enough to follow Bill. Why, Audra? Why? Stay away. Bill warned you. Should be going to Derry because she is good people and nice people, and good people don't do well in Derry. So go back home and stay out of it. And I have nothing more to add.
Benj?
Audra has every reason in the fucking world to stay where she is. Bill told her to stay. Freddie told her to stay.
She's got a job to do.
She's got a job to do. She has a career. She has responsibilities. But like the others, something was drawing her to Derry. And I don't know if it was just love, blind whatever, or an exterior force.
I definitely got the feeling of the exterior lure that seems to have been ratcheted into everybody. And because even she's like actively telling herself, like, I really shouldn't go. Like, staying here is the main thing that I probably should do. But there's just something that tells me I can't pull away from it. And we've seen that in almost every single chapter in some form, that whatever this is, once it's got its claws in you, very, very few people can turn away. Like, it's pretty few and far between those that can actually resist, from what I've seen.
It just surprises me that whatever it is was able to get its claws into Audra so far away.
Right, and like, she's never had experience. Like, she only has secondhand experience knowing about Derry. And I mean, Bowers makes sense. He's been 100% involved. Tom, I didn't really get much of the lure feeling from him. I just got he's a crazy son of a bitch, and he's going to do that anyway. You could maybe say that he's got a little bit of that ratcheted up hatred that is feeding into it. You could make that argument. I'm not. I think he's just doing this himself.
That one.
Like, I didn't get like a flip of a switch type feeling like we've seen early on with in chapter 2 and in other places as well. I don't get that from Tom. Someone could maybe say they do. But Audra's, I get the feeling that something is pulling her, or she's just helpless without Bill, which I just don't see that happening. I think she's a stronger character by herself. You know what I mean? Like, I
think it's almost like she thinks he needs her. She doesn't just trust that he'll be fine without her, that she can go and help save him or something. And I think that's the thing that drives me the most crazy. Because she is fine without him. She could, and I get the idea of, I cannot just sit here. I cannot just wait, except you can. And you should, because at the end of the day, like, he doesn't need you there.
Yeah.
You're just like,
You'll be just another distraction.
yeah, you'll be in the way. And let's be honest, it's dairy. It's going to be something that they can use against, but like, no, just, you're just more fuel to the fire. And
Stay here. Stay as long as you can. I can't wait till I get to go to dairy hike school.
oh my goodness.
So before she gets on the plane, she deals with old Freddie, right? And I thought it was pretty funny when Freddie, who is I guess the movie producer, is that what he was?
Yeah. Director.
A big wig in the film that she's working on and Bill's working on, and when he has to deal with the stunt boss, the actors union stunt boss, and I don't know, that just seems like an awkward situation. What do you guys think on that interaction?
Yeah, it was basically, well, they only have so many stunts in them a week they can do, and that one's already reached their limit, and well, we can't put a man in a wig because that just wouldn't be right, and it's just the typical Hollywood / film union, kind of overused rules and junk, and I shouldn't say in crap and stuff because they're put there in good place for a reason, but you can understand the frustration of having to deal with the hoops and, everything to jump through just to get something done.
I have a question. Is this like a superhero flick?
I think it's a monster flick since Bill wrote it.
Okay, but I mean, I don't see a lot of car chases happening. I don't see it like, is it really like that many stunts happening in this, what's probably a B movie horror flick?
But don't they say what
I think it was a fall down the stairs or something.
Yeah. So
yeah.
the movie's called
just
Attic
a fall
Room.
down the stairs. I don't know. I get the impression that the amount of stunts in this movie are not that significant compared to a lot of movies that we see. You're telling me that the union can't, like, I don't know. Or, hey, Freddie, just pay the girl. Come on. Like, suck it up. You want it done. I don't know. See, I'm in a mood. I'm not putting up with people's crap today. You know what? Either pay the girl or not. But you're going to lose money if you don't shoot for the day. So is it really worth not shooting for the whole day?
Well, he wanted to rewrite it so that they just didn't have the fall.
Yeah.
And that's why he was like, where the hell is Bill? Like, oh no.
I'm sorry. Bill is not your personal give me whatever I want guy.
Right. But he's also contracted to work on this film.
Yeah.
He's not
True.
supposed to just
He did
disappear.
work on the film. It's done. They don't need him.
True, but the director has the right to say, hey, we're just going to film this without this scene and rewrite it himself. Technically, you're allowed to do that.
Week. Let's film everything around it. I don't know. Whatever.
So, do we want to move on to Freddie and Audra's conversation itself?
Yeah, definitely.
My notes on it is I think it's completely fair of Freddie to warn her that if she takes off, it's not that he's going to fire her or he's going to blacklist her, but she can get a reputation for being difficult to work with and being unreliable. And it'll just make it hard for her to find work. It's not him being mean or vindictive. He's just being cautionary. I truly feel like he's trying to be a friend and be somewhat of a mentor to her and telling her, don't go. He doesn't need you. I need you. We need you here. You have a responsibility to us.
I kind of have a notes along that same idea. I was kind of thinking, Freddie seems like a pretty decent guy overall on how he kind of accepts that Audra's probably going to go ahead and leave. And he kind of understands and doesn't hate her, but is just looking out for her in the movie and in the project fairly rationally. But he still kind of tries to use his authority dominance to encourage her to stay, which is not very good. And I do think he's right, but Audra just doesn't know about dairy. Like, we know it's a don't go, big mistake, but she doesn't. Well, she's been told enough to know that, but she just doesn't do it.
You know, but you don't.
But my real point is Freddie seems like a decent guy, but he still kind of falls into a couple domineering character type things. And right along with that, he almost goes to grab for her, but catches himself. Like, he almost pulls a really dick move, for lack of a better, just douchebag thing of, you're not listening to me. You need to listen to me, showing my dominance by grabbing you and manhandling you, for lack of a better term, because that's exactly what it would be. But he does catch himself, so he's at least aware of it. I'm not saying he still is perfect at all, but he's better than Tom. And maybe it's just we just saw Tom, so this guy looks like a fucking saint.
I both agree with you, both of you, and disagree completely.
Okay.
Here's my thing. Freddie's right. Don't go.
Yeah.
You have a job. You have a career. You're the lead in the damn movie. So we kind of need you here. We can't shoot without you. She shouldn't go. We all know that I agree with this. This is how I feel. She should have stayed her pretty little butt right there in England and filmed her movie and done the whole, like, what your profession is and acted like she was fine and just got on with her life and waited.
Which is exactly what Bill asked her to do.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, at least give it a week. Worry in a week. Worry when you haven't heard from him in 3 or 4 days. Like,
Yeah,
it
not
hasn't
the
been
next
24
morning.
hours.
Yeah.
Not even 24 hours. What kind of relationship do you have with your husband that you can't even, like, give him 24 hours? Anyway, Freddie is right. However, I don't like what Luke said. Let me rephrase. I'm not saying I don't like what Luke said. I agree with what Luke said about the domineering piece. And I think that's not Freddie. That's just how women are treated.
Okay.
Particularly in the movie industry.
I believe that, yeah.
I mean, there's been stories since the beginning of the film industry of women being owned by studios. You have to be in my movie. You have to make this many films. I can break you if you don't. Look at Harvey Weinstein and everything
Judy
he
Garland.
put all those women through. Who?
Judy Garland was notoriously overdrugged and over.
I mean, we can go on and on and on and name it people. But and so this time reading through it, that really hit me that I'm not even surprised that she was treated that way. And even later when somebody asked for her autograph and she's like, you better sell it quick. It's not going to be worth anything. That's always stuck with me as a moment of just horror, because if I want you to think back to any movies you remember from the 80s. Can you name like 5 big male actors from the 80s?
Yeah, easily.
Go.
Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, Eddie Murphy, and John Candy.
Okay. Name 5 women.
Julia Roberts.
No, 80s,
Yeah.
not 90s.
Yeah, she was 80s. Pretty one.
Molly Ringwald. There it is. There's the one.
Molly Ringwald.
Molly Ringwald. Oh, God. Fuck. From Carrie. Trying to think.
Carrie was that made in the 80s? It might
Sissy
have been
Spacek.
70s. Okay. Sissy Spacek, one movie, basically. Even though
Well,
she
no,
acted
'cause-
for a long time, but one big movie there. Go on.
She was in
What else?
Breakfast Club as well. I mean, I get your point no, I don't. I completely don't
think about
disagree
the
with
movie
you.
Top Gun, right? Big
Yeah.
giant movie. Everybody remembers it. Do you remember the name of the actress?
Nope. Nicole Kidman, Days of Thunder was 80s. So
But you see my point.
I know. I completely agree with
And
you.
I'm not yelling. I'm just saying female actors have a much shorter shelf life.
Yep. I was about to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's true. She's done for simply being a human being. Whereas, I mean, I've heard of whole TV shows getting shut down because, their lead actor had a broken leg from something. So, from not even from like a stunt, like got a broken leg. Okay, you know what? We're going to shut down. We'll pick up filming when he's all better.
Mm-hmm.
You can't shut down for her for this. And you don't for women. It's just not typical. So I am both annoyed and disappointed and absolutely not surprised.
Completely agreed.
Yeah.
Not surprised at all.
Nope.
I'm not either. And I absolutely agreed. I would say, though, if the roles were reversed and say Audra's the one that left to go to Derry and Bill was still there, he's the actor, she's the writer, Freddie would tell him the exact same thing about, I'm not going to blacklist you, but you could get a reputation. It may not have nearly the same effect that it would on Audra, a cautionary, because, it would come across a way. But I think Freddie is the type of person, he would give the same exact advice.
Oh, I agree.
But the results might not be the same. You're right.
No.
The results wouldn't be
No.
the same. But I think he would give the exact same advice. And that's where I'm going with how Freddie is a decent.
Like I said, I agreed with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by
No,
what's
me
going to
either.
happen to her career.
Yeah, totally agree. So then she does go. And so she hops on basically she finds a flight, right, that's going to Portland, and they're stopping in Bangor. Is that what it was?
So convenient.
Yeah, the red eye.
Right. And any thoughts on the plane ride itself, or her setting up to go, or only after she gets off? Right. I mean, she's the only one that gets off the plane.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah,
awesome because people know her. Like,
And she's getting off at nowhere.
where are we? I thought we were just getting fuel. Like,
You can actually get off here
they let people off here in the wilderness?
by choice?
But it also mentions that, she got off just an hour before Tom did at the airport. Same airport, right?
Ooh,
Yeah.
I have a thought about Tom in the airport. Ready?
Yeah.
So you all stopped talking. And
We wanted to hear your thought. We were enraptured by your
You weren't talking
enthusiasm.
over me. I was surprised. Okay, so here I go. Sorry.
We could fix that.
There we go. That's the brothers that I know and love. Okay. So Audra gets there just an hour before Tom. Audra gets a car.
Mm-hmm.
Was Audra really luckier than Tom that they had cars available and they sold out all their cars in that 1 hour? Or did the car rental people just decide that Tom was that batshit crazy and lied to him?
That's what I got from it, because I reread that again today, and when he shows up, like he talks about how his face is all bloody or bruised up and everything, and the lady that's working the desk kind of tells him no. I think they turned him away as opposed to, it's Audra. Yeah, she's going to get what she wants kind of thing. And a little bit easier than busted face Tom in this case.
True.
So
Yeah.
he looked like a potentially not safe person to rent a car out to for insurance purposes. A little
This
reckless.
is true.
Completely fair. I completely glanced over that part, or didn't catch it. So good job.
So, Melissa, you mentioned her signing the autograph as well as she's kind of leaving the airport, right? Any other thoughts on that, or are we ready to roll a bit more? All right. So she drives up and she ends up in Derry, we find out. We start kind of flipping back and forth between a little bit of Tom here again. Is that how this happens? Or it just goes to that section 8, which is just kind of a pulled back view, not one of them, like just a true omniscient narrator again.
Yeah, I think it's just narrator.
And it talks about their cars being in the parking lot of the two different hotels.
Yep.
And how they're parked nose to nose.
Creepy.
That's, something has drawn them specifically to be that kind of proximity. I feel like that's no mistake.
Well, the cars being so close, sometimes a coincidence is just a coincidence. Can't that just happen?
Not in a Stephen King book.
It can. It doesn't.
Doesn't.
Sure, it can, but it won't. So another thing that I kind of noticed here is while she is driving, Derry is calling for you, Audra. Like, even she is starting to have some character reversion that I noticed. And maybe maybe it's just naturally what would happen. But it seems like the way it's described of, she's begun to think like an American again. Like, forcing herself to drive on the right side of the road. If she goes on the wrong side during an intersection, she's going to be killed. I don't know. It just seemed like the same kind of thing that we've seen all the other characters go through on their way to Derry. They become kind of a former version of themselves more and more. And I know she has no experience with Derry, and that's why I was like, maybe this is a stretch, but I noticed her doing a little bit of character reversion.
So you're saying similar to our the chapter where our Losers Club went back to the restaurant and all met up for the first time and they were sort of reverting back to their childhood ways, that this is a similar, if not congruent, instance of Audra reverting back to her past life of at least being an American, if not necessarily going straight back to a childhood type personality.
Yeah, I'm more just like kind of questioning it. Like it just seems similar because we have seen that exact thing happen with characters that we do know pretty well.
Yeah.
But it's also a really natural thing for her to be doing. Like, she literally has to think this way so she doesn't die while driving. That's why I'm like, maybe it's a stretch.
Well, and I also think it, like, from somebody who personally has never, like, lived abroad, I bet that is how it feels. Like, okay, I have to put this cap back on, like bilingual people. Do I wear my English cap or do I wear my Spanish cap? Like, when do I play each role? And right now she's having to but put back on her American cap.
Yeah. And so, really quick, going to your point, Luke, the line here, basically talks about Audra giving the autograph, and Audra gave it writing her name, on the back of the rental form and thought, enjoy while you can, girl. If Freddie Firestone is right, it won't be worth doodly squat 5 years from now. With some amusement, she realized that after only 15 minutes back in the States, she'd begun to think like an American again. Going into that, so she's already in Bangor. this is while there's dead, that it's already reverting back.
Say that last part again. There was some internet chopping. Sorry.
With some amusement, she realized that only after 15 minutes back in the States, she had begun to think like an American again. So my point is, this comes when she's talking to the rental car girl in Bangor. So it's even before she gets to Derry that she has that thought process of reverting back. But I can see your point of she's getting close, so it's a quicker reversal or anything like that. Again, never lived abroad, don't know, how different it is, but I could see, both ways of it. Could just be a natural thing. It doesn't, you don't forget your childhood. You don't forget the way you're raised. You sometimes lose it, but it comes right back as soon as it gets re-entered into you. But it could be, a sign of Derry as well, just having that stronger pull, one of both ways.
So then the last section here, I might as well just read the whole section. It's pretty short. Henry spent that day hiding in the Puckies beside Route 9. Sometimes he slept, sometimes he lay watching police cruisers slide by the hunting dogs. While the losers ate lunch, Henry listened to voices from the moon, and when dark fell, he went out to the verge of the road and stuck out his thumb. After a while, some fool came along and picked him up.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was Dave who was the fool that picked him up?
Dave, the cab driver?
If you're a religious man.
Fella.
Yeah. Just, I don't know why, it would just be full circle because it was nighttime. So Dave might have gotten off work and started heading home, driving up past the mental institution.
I know we talked about the timeline of this. This is the day before?
No, because this is while they were having lunch because he even says in there.
So when he gets picked up, it says it's later that night, right?
Yes.
After a while.
Yes. So this is after...
so we've already seen Dave, the cab driver, be a little more solemn when he picked up Richie, right? Was that what it was? Richie got in his car?
But that was before...
If that was the night before.
Yeah.
If this had led to what Richie saw out of Dave. That's what I was trying to work through.
Gotcha.
See, I just read that line as, that some poor fool's dead now.
Yeah.
What if it's no, it's not Tom because he's already at the hotel. So
yeah, right. Tom's already in town. Yeah, because he's at Juniper Hill Mental, which is around 30 miles away from Derry, something like that, 30 to 40 miles away, somewhere in Castle Rock, maybe, or near Castle Rock. But so yeah, it wouldn't be Tom. So I don't know who it would be.
All right. Any other thoughts?
I have an overall thought for the chapter as a whole. I like the chapter title of 3 Uninvited Guests. However, I do have a problem with it because technically Henry was invited. It was Pennywise. He said, please come back. We want you.
Allow it. I agree with you.
So it's 2 uninvited guests and 1 nut job.
I think unexpected would be better.
Yes.
Yeah, I like unexpected better as well. And really,
although let's be honest, if you have to think of the 3 of them, I mean, can we all say Audra? It's kind of unexpected, but are we really surprised by Henry or Tom? I'm not.
Now, see, and this is a little bit going into what I talked about last section of when I first read through this. I thought Tom was at Kate's. Like, that was, like, the first time. Right. And then Henry has the ghosts show up. Like, those were uninvited, And, like, Pennywise talking from the moon. So, like, there's potentially more ways that you could look at it, I guess. That you could cut it up. But I think they're saying...
I'm pretty, like, literal. 3 uninvited guests, 3 new main characters. Done.
Yeah. I'm also trying to stretch it to justify it. But it's...
because you're smarter than me for today.
I'll allow it.
Okay.
All right, so it is time to do one of our favorite sections, questions for the new reader. What do you guys got for me?
I can't remember, was this yours or mine, Melissa?
If it was mine, I would have colored it.
Oh, okay, fair. So this was my question. We typed these a while ago. Will Audra's career suffer from this?
I'm going to say no, because of the reasons I'm going to get to in my questions or thoughts from the new reader.
Okay.
So I will say no. Because in the questions/predictions from new reader, my first thought here, Audra will see things that she shouldn't and will die quickly. I don't think she's going to last very long in Derry. So
that would make her career suffer, though.
Well, she doesn't have a career
anymore.
Sad
about it.
My point is there will be no career to sacrificial ham.
Sacrificial hams.
And my next thought was, as I read further on and we had the two cars parked in the hotel parking lot, I feel like Tom is going to find Audra. He already knows what she looks like, is going to recognize her, and that's going to be really bad for her because he's already kind of primed on I don't know. Like he already has a thought process of Bev and Bill and how Audra looks a lot like Bev, and I just don't think that's going to end well for her. I'll throw one more in there, and we kind of touched on it last section of, I think that Bowers, Henry, and Tom are gonna team up. And then they're gonna meet each other and be buds.
Anybody else picturing like a Teen Titans Go like meet up high five buddy moment there?
Oh, they're gonna chest bump for sure in the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
There's
no, see,
like a whammy or a pow.
I'm gonna say it's more of a planes, trains, and automobiles team up where they begrudgingly become friends. You know, like Tom, or Henry is just like, "Hey, I got a friend. All right, come follow me." And Tom's like, "Oh, shut up, but I can use you." And I could see that more. Like they don't want to be friends, but they're gonna be friends. Kind of Step Brother style. Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Oh, we have
like taking on a mountain troll.
Right, there you go.
What, I'm sorry, Melissa.
There's something.
Nothing like taking on a mountain troll.
Yeah.
Some things you can't do and not end up being best friends, like taking on a mountain troll. All right, so let's get to our favorite things. Benj, what's your favorite thing?
So my favorite thing was Freddie giving her sound advice, even if it's not what she wants to hear, it's what she needs to hear, even hanging up on her. When she called to say, "I'm not going to be in, I'm going to Derry," and he gave no response, just hung up the phone. That's his way of saying, I tried, you're not listening, there's nothing I have left to say.
Fair. Melissa?
Section 8. By one of those odd quirks of fate or coincidence which sometimes obtain, and which, in truth, obtain more frequently in Derry, Tom had taken a room at the Koala Inn on Outer Jackson Street, and Audra had taken a room at the Holiday Inn. The two motels were side by side, their parking lots divided only by a raised concrete sidewalk. And, as it so happened, Audra's rented Datsun and Tom's purchased LTD wagon were parked nose to nose, separated only by that walkway. Both slept now, Audra quietly on her side, Tom Rogan on his back, snoring so heavily that his swollen lips flapped. There is no such thing as coincidence in Derry. And the fact that there is an entire section, albeit a single paragraph section, but an entire section dedicated to it, this had purpose.
Yeah, and that's what scares me for Audra. A lot.
Maybe she'll kill Tom. What do you mean scared for Audra? She'll be fine.
She's a strong, independent woman.
Hey, I'm rooting for her. I'm absolutely hoping it goes that way. I'm just...
But it is Stephen King.
Yeah.
I killed Georgie in the first chapter. Nothing is safe.
Rest in peace, Georgie. I liked Georgie. He was a cute little kid. He was fun. My favorite thing this chapter was seeing Audra start to revert to her older self as she nears Derry. And again, I kind of question if that's really what's going on a bit, but I just kind of liked that thought of potentially that's happening to an outsider kind of thing, that it automatically changes you as you go there because it's just an evil doorway to hell. And yeah, I thought it was interesting.
Doorway, highway, whatever.
So that does it for this full chapter now. We just finished up chapter 12, but you can find us in the next 2 weeks on Twitter at FloatsDownHere. Send us a digital clown message. No, it doesn't quite
Balloon.
work. Send us a digital balloon at floatsdownhere@gmail.com. Find all of our shows at thepodcast.com. Check out our Support Us page on there for all the cool ways you can help support this and all of our shows, including the TeePublic link where you can get cool thepodcast.com merch for you to perch. Subscribe and rate and leave comments on iTunes and YouTube.
Join our Patreon, where you can get access to our Legion-only RSS feed, invitation to view our Legion-only live stream recordings, access to our Legion-exclusive episodes, early access to favorite episodes, shout-outs on air, seasonal contests, as well as different merch clubs and discounts on other things as well in our merch sections and everything like that. For all that information, go check out patreon.com/stayimaginary, and that'll definitely help us keep the lights on.
we can't wait until we see you next chapter for Derry, the third interlude.
You'll float too.
Stay imaginary.
Thanks.